This is Sunday, July 9th. There are 10 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2017. Welcome to SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog.
VANUHTEE, go.
Oh my god, I love LiveJournal, and my LiveJournal loves me. Current mood is hyperactive, current music, Refuse 73. I love the color scheme, it's pink and purple.
Good late afternoon. I am your host, James Riley. Joining me on the podcast tonight is Carrie Dixon.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us.
And joining us after a very busy summer so far, Ben Kucharski.
Hi guys, thanks for joining us as well.
All right. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this. So you want to tell them how this works?
Yeah. So I totally messed up last time, and I said we're breaking down the podcast, and I don't think we're breaking down the podcast, but we may be breaking down the podcast. We're actually breaking down the schedule. So we're going to take questions mostly at the end if we don't cover it, because we're going to cover a lot of stuff. We're going to go through all of the major rooms on Saturday and Sunday. And so if you have questions, you can tweet us at SD_comic_con or use the hashtag SDConCast. We will also be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat. So if you have a question, ask it there. If we don't catch it, ask it at the end when we ask for questions again. But we will try and catch things as we go, and they're pertinent to the rooms we're talking about. So we are basically just going to get right into it, and we're going to start on Saturday with the big one, Hall H. And this one's a crazy one.
Yes, it is. Do you want to kick us off, James?
I will. So first up, 11:30 a.m., Warner Brothers. And we do know that we're going to have Blade Runner 2049, we're going to have Justice League, and we're going to have Ready Player One.
Yes, and let me, real quick, because the schedule doesn't list cast, I don't believe. We know that for Ready Player One, we are going to get stars Ty Sheridan, Olivia Cook, TJ Miller, screenwriter Ernest Cline, Zach Penn, and Steven Spielberg. For Blade Runner 2049, we're going to get Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford, as well as Ana de Armas, Sylvia Hawkes, Robin Wright, Lenny James, Mackenzie Davis, writers Hampton Fancher, Michael Green, and the director, Denis Villeneuve. And then for Justice League, we are getting Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, and Ray Fisher.
There's a name missing from that list of the member of the Justice League.
There is.
Where's Superman? He's a member of the Justice League.
He is, and I feel like there's still a very good chance that he'll be there. I just don't think they would have announced it.
Right, they gotta hold some surprises.
Yeah, and I believe, hold on, before I say this, speaking, but I thought I saw this on Twitter. He has been, he's been filming Mission Impossible 6, but they actually wrapped filming, I believe today or yesterday, one of those. So his schedule should be wide open for next week, potentially.
Good. So I would expect that to be one of the big surprises for the WB panel. Did we go through all three movies cast lists? I think we did, right?
Yes, we did.
So I would expect also for there to be other movies as a surprise. I mean, they're doing some other offsites. And so I would expect they may do something for some of those movies, possibly, even if it's just a special teaser or sizzle reel or something similar to that.
Yeah, and they also mentioned in the thing we're going to get a first look at Aquaman.
There you go.
So we know we're getting that, and then like James said, there's a good chance we'll get like It or something.
Yeah, they always bring a few extra little mini surprises, 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, just to basically make sure that you're getting your money's worth out of getting to that panel. That is going to last for 2 hours, so they will fill that up with a lot of stuff. At 2 o'clock, we have Entertainment Weekly's annual Women Kick Ass panel, but it is now the Icon edition, and it's going to be with Charlize Theron, and she is going to be the only one there. And I've seen people on both sides of this where they think it's a bad idea, and others that really enjoy the idea of singling out someone. They've done panels like this before for things like the Director's Series, where it was just one person in Hall H. And I kind of like the idea, especially with someone like Charlize Theron, because she's had such a great career. And I understand that other people would like, hey, there's tons of other kick-ass women who are at the con. Why not bring them on as well? So it's just up to you whether you like the idea or not. But it's right there in the middle of the day, and no one's going to be leaving, really. So make the best of it and enjoy the panel. Then at 3, we have Netflix's Stranger Things, and that is bringing, do we know who that's bringing?
We don't, but David Harbour is on another panel, so he's pretty much a lock. And I think it's Noah Schnapp, one of the kids. He also confirmed he was going. So those are the only 2 that we know right now.
Okay, so we can expect they're probably going to be bringing a lot of the cast members, but we'll see what happens. It is a full hour. If they don't have cast members, that would be a lot of super cool footage and stuff. But they are going to be bringing that. Just maybe not an hour's worth. And then at 4:15, the Westworld panel and Q&A. And this one is going to be bringing cast panelists Ben Barnes, Ingrid Bolso-Bardal, Ed Harris, Luke Hemsworth, James Marsden, Thandie Newton, Simon Quarterman, Rodrigo Santoro, Angela Serafian, Jimmy Simpson, Tessa Thompson, Evan Rachel Wood, Shannon Woodward, and Jeffrey Wright.
That's a lot of cast, but HBO always brings a lot of cast.
It is a lot of cast. So if you are a Westworld fan, this is going to be pretty awesome. I don't think they're going to have any footage, so it's basically going to be what the annual Game of Thrones panel was like, which was basically a victory lap for the show with probably nothing really new to show for it. At 5:30, we have Marvel Studios. Despite the D23 happening the week before, they are going to be there. And they're actually going for 90 minutes, which a lot of people have noticed is a little bit longer than their annual panel, their usual panel, which is 60 minutes. And I think the reason for this is something that Kevin Feige said a few weeks ago in an interview when they were showing off the Marvel behind-the-scenes stuff. And it's the 10th anniversary of Marvel going to Comic-Con when they first premiered the Iron Man stuff. And I think that they're planning something special. And I don't know if it's going to be first reveals, because they're probably going to do all their first reveals at D23. But I think you can expect something special, like a group of cast members from a variety of different movies all gathering at once for something special, a look back on the entire 10-year history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, they have a lot of things that they can do.
And you mentioned that it's 90 minutes this year instead of 60, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, if it has been that long before, it's been many years since it has been. So I'm with you. I think they're going to do something extra special this year. But let's talk about the flow of this room, which is...
None.
Yeah, that.
So there will be, I would say, maybe throughout the entire day, up to 500 to 700 people who leave that room.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think you're going to get much turnover at all. If you want in that room, you kind of have to be in that room from the beginning.
And that leads us to the next question.
How early do you want to line up?
Well, not how early do you want to line up. How early do you need to line up?
Right. Okay. So if I recall correctly, last year, people who wanted to get in on Saturday had to be in line fairly early on Friday evening in order to even get a wristband for Saturday.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly.
So
it's basically as the biggest one for the convention, as the most people will want to get in there, expect it to be pretty bad for waiting. But just if you just want in the room, be in line Friday evening. Probably earlier than you think. You should be there. You may have to miss an hour or two of the convention and get out there before 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I think that's basically it. To get in the room, just make sure you're in line sometime on Friday, unfortunately. That's just the way it is with those kind of panels and that many people who want to stay and no turnover in the room.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I know this is going to be so bad. Like, this is definitely going to be the longest line all week. Yeah, it's just going to be bad. So good luck.
And
this is like Star Wars line.
Yeah,
Star Wars
it's
line.
going to be pretty close to that.
Because I feel like this is one of the strongest lineups that Warner Brothers has had in a very long time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and knowing that Justice League is going to be there, where in past years they really haven't announced stuff in advance, is kind of going to just make more people like, okay, yes, I am going to Hall H this year, where previous it was like, well, if I don't think they're bringing Justice League, why am I going to show up? Or if it's just for a 5-minute walk on stage like they did a few years ago for Batman, Superman.
And not even just Justice League, but Justice League plus Steven Spielberg plus Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Plus Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, come on.
Come on. And then Stranger Things has a lot of fans on its own. Westworld has a lot of fans on its own. Marvel by itself could easily create pretty much a terrible line to get in. It always does. So yeah, just good luck, everyone.
Yeah. Good luck. I may be trying to do that again. And I remember I said I wouldn't go to Hall H again, but apparently they've created a good enough schedule to get me into that room if I am willing to give up 2 days of my life, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
I really want to. I don't know if it's such a great idea.
It's not a good idea. It never is a good idea to wait an hour or a day and a half to get into a room.
No.
It's just not. But it's, there's 10,000 other people who have the same idea. So if you want to get in the room, you basically have to pay the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, that about does it for Hall H on Saturday. And again, good luck. Ben, do you want to take Ballroom 20 on Saturday?
Sure. I am getting there. Okay, so Ballroom 20, starting at 10 a.m., we have Once Upon a Time. We know go ahead.
We don't know which cast members will be showing up, but Colin O'Donoghue is listed on another panel, so I think he's completely a lock. And interestingly, we saw on Twitter today, somebody posted that they, a conversation with Adelaide Kane's publicist that they'd had, and the publicist confirmed that they would be announcing that she'll be part of the new cast on the series, that they'll announce it at Comic-Con, and that Adelaide Kane will be there. So you can expect that to happen at Comic-Con, I guess.
And I would say that we're pretty confident, or we feel that there's some of the more rabid fans of almost all of the fans. So at least on Twitter, talking. So that should have a pretty big draw. But yes, without knowing the cast, it'll be kind of interesting to see what we should expect there. We know the moderator is going to be Yvette Nicole Brown, who is awesome. Yes. Anything else I should include in there? I'm sorry, I'm a little late to the party.
No, you're fine. I think that was good. So what do we have after that?
All right, Riverdale. I love me some Riverdale, so I'm pretty excited for that. That's going to be at 11 a.m. They say it's going to be a special video presentation and a Q&A. So I'm going to assume that there is going to be some footage to show, or a sizzle reel. Who knows?
And I have a list of cast. It's not on that list, but it got announced through WB a couple weeks ago, and it's going to be KJ Apa, Lily Reinhart, Camila Mendez, Cole Sprouse, Madeline Petcht, Ashley Murray, Casey Cott, Haley Law, Asher Bromfield, and then some of the producers. So
that will be a lot of fun if you're a Riverdale fan, which I am for sure. Following that is going to be 12 p.m. Simpsons, which is kind of makes for a change in the vibe. I always kind of skip these animated ones. But yes, Simpsons 29th season, pretty significant. The creator's going to be there, as well as executive producers, supervising director, and director, moderated by Mike Schneider. So for Simpsons fans, hey, there you go. Following in the same vein, at 1 p.m. is going to be Family Guy and American Dad. So more Fox animated shows. They're going to have cast there like Seth MacFarlane, Alex Borstein, Mike Henry, John Boehner, as well as some executive producers and such. Also not really my show, but that's okay. This one seems kind of like a hodgepodge of like, hey, it's a big room and we're going to put some stuff in there.
You know what, though? All of these used to have their own panels, and it used to be like a 4 or 5 hour block. And so I'm personally really happy that we've now parted down to like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that the mix will allow for some turnover in the room. Like, for example, at 2:30 is going to be Star Trek Discovery. I love Star Trek. I'm pretty excited to check out this panel, and I think, you know, maybe a bunch of The Simpsons and Family Guy and American Dad people will be leaving, and it'll, you know, open up the room, but who knows? Maybe some diehard people will be camped out in there all day. But this is basically celebrating the 50th anniversary-ish. And we are, do we know who we're expecting as far as cast?
We don't. So it's really not a 50th anniversary special. It's about the upcoming CBS All Access series, Star Trek Discovery. So that's going to be the new CBS series. It does basically just say that cast will be coming, but you can pretty much assume that since this is the main thing CBS is bringing this year, that they'll probably go all out for this one, especially because it is on their streaming platform, and I think they're really trying to push that hard.
Yeah. Now, on here it says following a broadcast premiere. Are we expecting the whole show to be broadcast, or just the premiere, or do we not know?
We are only expecting the pilot, the first episode, to be broadcast on CBS, and then the remainder of the season, which I think they're splitting into 2, is going to be on CBS All Access streaming only.
Correct.
Very interesting. After that, at 3:30, we have got Supergirl, again, special video presentation as well as a Q&A. And this one...
I have, do I have cast for this? I think I do. I do. Okay. No, I don't. I don't have cast for this.
It does say join the series cast, so we're expecting some people, which is good, some of them. And then continuing with the WBCW kind of thing, at 4:10, we've got DC's Legends of Tomorrow, also called a special video presentation and Q&A.
I do have cast for this one. It'll be Victor Garber, Brendan Routh, Dominic Purcell, Katie Lotz, Frank Drama, Nick Zano, Maisie Richardson Sellers, and then some producers.
Awesome. And then at 4:50, Black Lightning, special video presentation and Q&A. And this is, of course, going to be a new show. So, you know, if you think this might be something that you're interested in, this is something where you could get it on the ground level versus all these other ones are returns. And this one is going to have executive producer Robert Kirkman, who, you know, if you like The Walking Dead, love him. And then do we have cast?
I do. For this one, it'll be Cress Williams, Nefessa Williams, China Ann McLean, Christy Adams, and then some producers.
Awesome, awesome. And then again, CWWB, we've got at 5:10, The Flash special video presentation and Q&A. I imagine the majority of the cast will be there.
Yeah, so it'll be Grant Gustin, Jesse L. Martin, Tom Cavanaugh, Candace Patton, Danielle Panabaker, Carlos Valdez, Keenan Lonsdale, and then some producers.
Awesome. Then 5:50, Arrow. It's like there's a whole trend here. And do we know who will be here for Arrow?
We do. It'll be Stephen Amell, David Ramsey, Willa Holland, Emily Bett Rickards, Paul Blackthorne, Katie Cassidy, Echo Kellum, Juliana Harkavy, and Rick Gonzalez.
That is awesome. We're getting a lot of really full casts. And then finally at 8:30 is the annual International Masquerade. Yay, yes. Masquerade. What do we want to say about that?
Okay, so a couple quick notes. Number one, for all the DC stuff, note that these are shortened panels. They're all getting their own panel, but I believe each panel is only 40 minutes, except Black Lightning appears to be 20. So that's a little bit odd. But
they don't have I don't think they're going to have a lot of footage for that. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
It does. So most of these will be getting 40-minute things though, but it's basically just going to be like back-to-back stuff. I think they've got it set up to where they haven't even built in like the 10 minutes between. So basically like Ben was saying earlier, there will be some turnover in this room. I think you'll get like the Once Upon a Time and the Riverdale people kind of in and out, and then you'll get the animation people in. There'll be some people for Star Trek Discovery. I'm not entirely certain how many people will really be there for that, because I feel like since it hasn't aired yet,
it's still Star Trek.
It's still Star Trek, but I feel like after Brian Fuller left, like the enthusiasm went considerably down. That's my personal opinion.
I think it's going to be a full room. I just don't think it's going to be necessary to have a really long wait.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends also if you're big into the cast, like Michelle Yeoh could have a huge draw. I still don't know how to say her name, but the woman from The Walking Dead, if they're there, that's a big draw for me.
Yeah. And then for all the DC TV shows, pretty much I would say if you really care about like the DC stuff, like you should probably be there like around the start of Star Trek Discovery, wouldn't you say, James?
Probably. I would assume that there would be a decent amount of people leaving after Star Trek. I think a lot of Star Trek fans will go in and watch it and then leave. So I think so too. I think getting there during, or like I said at the beginning of Star Trek, will probably get you into the room for the WB stuff.
Yeah, but like if what you really care about is Arrow, like I don't know that I necessarily wait until like Black Lightning is on, just because most people, if you're fans of one of these shows, you're going to be fans of all of them. And that stuff can pack the room. So,
right.
And then for the Masquerade, real quick, for the Masquerade, you can't just show up if you want to actually be in Ballroom 20. They give out tickets over by Ballroom 20/21 starting at noon. And then you don't have to watch it there, though. They will also have overflow seating available in the sales pavilion, where the sales pavilion is really kind of like a party. And I think in previous years, they've even served beer there, right? I'm not making that up.
I've heard rumors of alcohol, yes.
I've heard rumors of alcohol as well. So I think sales pavilion is more like, woo, party Masquerade. But they also have overflow seating to where you can watch it in 5AB and 6A. So there's a lot of different ways to watch the Masquerade. It's fun.
I think I've heard rumors of alcohol should be like our new motto or something.
So I think overall the room is probably going to have, like we've mentioned before, those spikes of popularity.
Yeah.
And I think that early with Once Upon a Time, and then again with Star Trek, and then kind of just a constant flow of crowd for the WB stuff. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to be a major thing to get into the room for the panel you want to see. I think you'll be able to do it with, I think in some cases, probably no more than a half hour to an hour wait.
A couple quick comments in the chat. Stan Grace 20 said, I got into Arrow without even trying last year. So maybe you can just show up for some of the later ones really easily. And yes, there is beer at the Masquerade after party in sales.
There you go.
Well, and I think, there isn't necessarily a wrong way to do this, but I think that the lineup in Ballroom 20 versus the lineup in Hall H sounds a lot less like anxiety craziness. But I mean,
you mean like you don't have to line up at 3 p.m. on Friday?
Right. Give up bathing and embrace sleeping on the sidewalk.
It's a good lineup, though. It's a good lineup, so it'll be fun.
So now we're Indigo?
Yes. So moving on to Indigo, we are going to start our day off with a 10 a.m. panel for Saturday morning cartoons. And this is basically just going to be exactly what it sounds like. It'll be some animation guys talking about Looney Tunes and Hanna-Barbera and all of that. And it looks like attendees will receive a 30-day free trial to the new Boomerang premium streaming service. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
At 10:50, though, is going to be Cartoon Network's Ben 10, which is going to have a whole bunch of voice cast, including Greg Sipes, John DiMaggio, Montes Hernandez, Roger Craig Smith, Tara Strong, John Fang, Joe Casey. So that'll be fun. And then at 12 p.m., we basically get kind of the leftover WB programming because they have so much you can't fit it all into Ballroom 20. And we start with 12 p.m. with the originals, which is going to include cast members. Let me find this. Joseph Morgan, Daniel Gillies, Phoebe Tonkin, Charles Michael Davis, Yusuf Gatewood, and Riley Volkel. And then after that, we have Krypton, which is going to be the new sci-fi TV show about Superman's home planet. And it's going to have Cameron Cuff. And it looks like that's the only cast member, actually. But after that, we've got Lucifer, which is a whole lot of fun if you've never seen it. And for that one, we're going to have Tom Ellis, Lauren German, Rachel Harris, Kevin Alejandro, Amy Garcia, Trisha Helfer, and some of the producers. After that, we've got Gotham at 2:50. And for that, we don't know cast, but they usually bring just about everybody along. And then at 4 p.m., we start some of the other sci-fi stuff, including The Magicians, which is going to have cast members Jason Ralph, Stella Maeve, Olivia Taylor-Dunley, Hale Appleman, Arjun Gupta, Summer, Bashil, Sarah Gamble, and John McNamara. I know not all of those were cast. For the Expanse, we have Naren Shankar, Mark Fergus, Showrun. I can't even pronounce these names, so I'm not going to try.
You just do what Ben did, is like that person from the show.
Yeah. They were in that
yeah, all these people from the show, they're coming. It's gonna be great. And then at 6 p.m. we have the 10th anniversary of the Guild, which has basically the entire cast, which is going to be awesome. And then at 7 p.m. we have Broad City, which this is the first time that's come, and it's going to have both Abby Jacobson and Alana Glazer, and I'm super excited that's coming, even if I'm not going to get to see it.
I really want to see it, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
I know. It's so late. I'm like, why does it have to be at like 7 p.m.? But that's okay. This is a really good lineup. I do think that there will be lots of turnover. Like, I don't really feel like the Ben 10 crowd is necessarily like the Gotham crowd. Problem, though.
Yeah, when we were talking about this, I think my exact quote was, "The Guild is going to crap up that room."
Yes,
because the Guild fans, they pack a room and they wait a long time.
Yes, they do. And I've sat through many a Guild panel in the past, and they're a lot of fun, and there's a lot of people who show up. And the fact that it's the 10th year anniversary, and they obviously haven't been there every year, yeah, that is going to cause some problems. But go ahead.
But do we think it's going to be enough people to fill the entire room for a significant portion of the day?
I think. See, I feel like if you really want to see the Guild, I would show up while Gotham's going on so that you can try to make it in, because I do think that there'll be some people who leave after all of that WB stuff gets out. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So like the originals, Krypton, Lucifer, Gotham, I think there's a lot of crossover potential there, and I think some people will leave after those end. But there's also a lot of fans for Magician, and there's a lot of fans for The Expanse. I
just think you're going to have, and since we're talking about getting into the room, I think if you want to go to the Guild, you're going to have to get there a few panels early to get in the room. If you want near the front, you're basically going to have to be in there all day, because I don't think there's going to be, I think there's going to be a certain segment of the Guild fans who will go into that room first thing, and they will sit and just keep moving up to the front as the day goes on if they don't make it up to the front at the first. So I think getting in that room may be a little bit of a problem as you get within 2 hours of the Guild panel.
Yeah, I think so too.
Before that, basically it's that exponential run that happens before every panel, which is if you want to see this panel at 6 p.m., if you get there at 4 p.m., you've got a pretty good chance. If you got a 3 p.m., you got a very good chance. But if you get there at, 4:30, it just gets much worse. And 5 o'clock probably is even worse. It just gets worse fast.
Yeah, it does. It does. So I'm with you. I think the Guild is by far going to be the worst thing in this room. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Lucifer and Gotham and the originals all have a lot of fans, and I'm sure the room will be at least mostly full for those, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad as it will be for the Guild.
I think for most of those, because the Guild is going to be throwing things into a little bit of chaos, I think for almost any panel, and this is, again, pay attention to Twitter because we will be updating the lines in the room situations for rooms like this. But I think you're probably going to need to leave yourself an hour before your panel for almost everything else in this room in order to get in there, just to be safe. Leave yourself that hour, and then if things are going on, check Twitter, make sure you know what's going on. If you need to get there a little early, make sure you have room for that. If it's looking like it's walk-in leading up to it, then just make sure you head in when you can head in. But this is one you need to be paying attention to what's going on in that room hours before your panel, depending whether you want the Guild or not.
Yep.
Now, with all of that said, if the Guild people are going to be leaving when the Guild is over and there isn't necessarily Broad City crossover, do you think Broad City people will be able to get in pretty easily?
Super easy.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's super easy. And like I said before, because it is so late, like there's a lot of people like me who might have gone if it was in the day, but I'm not going at 7 p.m.
Yeah. The day wears you out.
It does.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving on to the next room, which is the next big room of room 6 BCF. And that starts at 10:30 with Talks Machina with the cast of Critical Role. So that one's going to have a special episode featuring the cast: Matthew Mercer, Marisha Ray, Laura Bailey, Travis Willingham, Sam Riegel, Liam O'Brien, and Talisa and Jaffe.
And Critical Role's popular. Like,
yes,
it's very popular.
And then the annual Quick Draw Contest panel at 11:45, hosted by Mark Evanier with Sergio Aragonis, Scott Shaw, Maria Scriven. So that is always a lot of fun. And then immediately following the other really fun panel, Cartoon Voices 1. They will be doing another one the next day. And this one's going to have people like Gray Griffin, Richard Horvitz, Jeff Bergman, Mick Wingert, and let's see, Caitlin Robrock, Josh Robert Thompson, and maybe a few other members of the vocal crew. So these ones are always a lot of fun to go in and listen and watch. And then at 2:45 is Happy, based on a Grant Morrison, Derek Robertson graphic novel.
And I know cast for this. It's going to be Chris Maloney, Grant Morrison, Brian Taylor, and Patrick McManus.
And then at 4 p.m. is the Midnight Texas premiere and Q&A, I'm assuming, because they are bringing cast. Yes, there's going to be a Q&A. Now, it says it's premiering the episode along with an exclusive sneak peek. So it looks like you're going to get a sizzle reel for the whole season in addition to getting the premiere episode. And then they're bringing cast members Francois Arnaud, Dylan Bruce, Parisa Fitzhenley, Ariel Kebbel, Jason Lewis, Peter Mensa, Sarah Ramos, Yul Vasquez, and a couple producers, and the author Charlene Harris. This is actually, I think, a bit of an expanded panel over the WonderCon one that I attended, and it was a good show. I enjoyed it, and it looks like it's going to be a fun panel as well. At 5:30 is the annual TV Guide Magazine Fan Favorites panel. And do we know who's going to be on this one yet? I don't think we do.
We don't. The only thing I can offer is that it says we'll get cast members from American Gods, Magicians, Shadowhunters, iZombie, and more. Which, if it's cast members from American Gods, I feel like it either has to be Ricky Whittle, who is on another panel this weekend, or Orlando Jones.
Right.
So those are my only guesses.
Pick someone who's in town from that show, and
yeah, do
a random assortment like that guy.
And was this in 6 BCF last year? Because I know for years it was in Ballroom 20.
It's been in Ballroom 20 most of the time, but I think it did move last year. Gotcha. It seems vaguely familiar that it was in 6 BCF or Indigo, maybe.
Yeah, it was in Indigo at least a couple years, but interesting. Anyway.
Okay, so at 6:30 is Hulu and Seth Rogen's Future Man, and this will include director and executive producer Seth Rogen, creators Kyle Hunter and Ariel Shafir, and showrunner Ben Carlin, and stars Josh Hutcherson, Eliza Coupe, and Derek Wilson. Looks like it's going to be moderated by Paul Scheer, and he is an excellent moderator. So this one is going to be at 6:30, and looks like it's going to be pretty cool. Good way to end the day in that room.
And it sounds awesome. Like, I'd never heard of this, honestly, until, like, we heard this was coming to Comic-Con. But if you read, it's about a guy who's a janitor by day and a gamer by night who is recruited by mysterious visitors to travel through time and prevent the extinction of humanity. Like,
awesome.
That sounds fun. So
what do we think of this room? Is it going to be a problem in this room?
Because 6BCF holds a little bit over 2,000 people, I don't feel like any of this is going to be super hard to get to. I feel like, yes, Critical Role is popular, but I don't know if it's like 2,000 plus people popular on Saturday morning. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Whoa. Seth Rogen and Josh Hutcherson are huge draws, but are they huge draws at 6:30 p.m. on a Saturday night? I don't know. I don't know if that's 2,000 plus people draw either. So
I would say that the one that you think is the biggest panel, which I think is basically looking like Critical Role and
Future Man,
maybe TV Guide if they announce who's going to be there, and it's got a good list of cast members that are showing up. But yeah, I think this one's basically going to be walk-in all day. It may fill up for a specific panel here or there as the panel is starting. So again, pay attention to room updates on these rooms on Twitter.
Yeah, and my suggestion is always, if you're worried about it, like if you think it's probably going to be a walk-in, but you're not totally sure, just show up like 30 minutes to an hour before. Like, just give yourself a little bit of padding.
It's nowhere near, the big room's insane, but it still would require you a little bit of a wait, which is not that bad. Come on, half an hour or an hour early. That's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then, let's see. Ben, what are we taking next? 6A? Did Ben go away? Ben went away.
I think we lost Ben.
Lost Ben. All right, I'll take 6A. Unless you want. No, you take 6A.
I can do 6A. I say that as I accidentally hit close on our thing. Okay, so 6A on Saturday. We are going to start things off with a little bit of a weird panel. Creating animation content for Univision targeting millennial families, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's some folks of some Univision programming talking about what they do. And then at 11:15, we've got the annual SpongeBob SquarePants, which is going to have voice cast that includes Tom Kenny, Bill Fagerbach, Roger Bumpus, and Carolyn Lawrence, as well as special appearances by one of Bikini Bottom's spookiest citizens. At 12:30, we've got the annual Marvel Animation Presents, which this year they will be talking about Marvel's Avengers Secret Wars, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. They do this every year. It's always a lot of fun. Then at 1:45 p.m., we've got a look at the upcoming video game Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, and they'll be giving you a look into that. Then at 3 p.m., we have most of the Black Eyed Peas. will.i.am, Taboo, and I don't know how to say that other one. Do you?
I'm trying to find it on my list here. Oh, here we go.
apl.de.app. Sure, that one. That guy or girl, they're showing up to talk about an upcoming Masters of the Sun thing that they're doing with Marvel. So that's really cool. And then at 4:15, we've got the Orville, which is Seth MacFarlane's new live-action series. And he'll be there along with Adrian Palicki, Scott Grimes, Penny Johnson-Gerald, Peter McCon, Halston Sage, Jay Lee, Mark Jackson, and Chad Coleman. And then finally at 5:30, we've got Ghost Wars, which will actually have Vincent D'Onofrio, as well as Kim Coates, Avon Jogia, Candice McClure, and Meatloaf a day. And then at 6:45, we've got it says X-Files. It is X-Files, but it's actually an Audible series that's coming out for the X-Files. It's not about the Fox TV show, the X-Files. But David Duchovny will be there, and he'll be talking with the Audible Cold Cases producer, Dirk Maggs, basically just about the audiobook and about the history of the show and all of that. That'll be fun. So there's a lot of things that don't necessarily mesh together here in 6A, which is good because it means there'll be a lot of turnover. I feel like if anything's going to fill up in here, it will probably be the Orville and potentially Ghost Wars. I feel like Vincent D'Onofrio is a decent draw on his own. 6A holds about 1,000 people. And again, David Duchovny talking about anything X-Files is a huge deal. But at 6:45 p.m. on Saturday night, I don't know. I just feel like it's so late that people are like, I don't want to be at the convention center to go see a panel at like 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah. I mean, most people have been spending all day going either from panel to panel or sitting in rooms or just, it's like 6:45 Saturday night. It's already 3 days in. Maybe not. But you know what? Duchovny's going to draw.
Yeah.
And this room only seats 1,000 people, so I'm pretty sure this one's going to fill.
So basically what we're saying is for the last 3 panels of the day, I would probably show up about an hour before you want to get in. And maybe even an hour and a half. But for everything else, I really don't think you're going to have that bad of a time getting in.
Probably not. The Orville might fill up because it is only 1,000 people, so, and it's got some good cast members in it.
Yeah, I agree.
So, okay. What we have next is, let's see, 7AB. Let me see if we want to skip that one. Let me find out here. Saturday. Let's just go over what's in there quick. Space, The Final Escape, starting at 10 a.m., then Crackdown 3, Salvation exclusive sneak peek, the official Image Comics panel, The Science of Rick and Morty, which probably is going to be one of the big ones if it has any actual creators and cast in it, which it may or may not. Dark Horse Manga, Oddball Comics Live, Discover Why YA is the Future of Comics, Legendary's Cursed panel with John Barrowman, Carol Bowman, and Erica Lewis, which Barrowman will always draw. 7:30 p.m., another late one, Starship Troopers, Traitor of Mars, which is a new movie for the Starship Troopers franchise with the original Johnny Rico. Casper Van Dyne, people, come on. And then finally, the official Gaia Online panel at 8:30 p.m. This is looking like it's going to be probably an easy entry room most of the day. But like I said, the Rick and Morty panel says special guests, so if you can't make it into the other Rick and Morty panel earlier, this may be a chance for you to see those same people at this panel, and therefore it may be actually pretty crowded.
I don't know. I feel like that John Barrowman has like potential to be a little bit crowded, just because it is John Barrowman.
Right, and the room only holds 480 people, so yeah, it can fill up quickly if enough people get the idea that they want to go see something. So I think again, you're going to basically be in the situation of having to show up half an hour to an hour early, and just keep an eye on things for the Rick and Morty and the Barrowman panel to see if things are filling up before that.
Yeah. All right.
And we got Ben back.
Hey, Ben.
I'm back.
Do you want to talk about the Horton Grand?
I'd love to. Give me just 1 second.
Sure.
All right. I am back at the top of the list, of course, but
Find.
I don't think I have ever done anything at the Horton Grand before except like screenings, like actual movie screenings. Maybe this is the year.
Will it be?
Will it be? I don't know. All right, I'm getting there.
It's a long list. There's a lot of stuff going on.
All right, so the 6A, 6A.
Here, I'll make it real easy for you, Ben.
Almost there, I swear. Whoop. Here we are, Horton Grand.
Okay.
So starting at 12 p.m., there's Rising Stars in Tech, Drivers of Innovation and Entertainment. This panel spotlights contributors from the world of virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, sustainable tech, and robotics. Some of the notable companies on hand include JPL, Mirror Labs, and Bondi. That's interesting. Could be cool if you're a techie kind of person. No. At 1:30, we have Do You Have What It Takes to Be a Star? These panelists will tell the true stories of the worst moments of their professional careers and how they overcame them. Wow, that could be very interesting. And
it actually is. Yeah, I know, James, you were really excited about this one. You want to tell us?
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool because, I mean, it basically is like a Babylon 5 reunion panel. Because it's going to have Claudia Christian, Mira Furlan, Andrea Thompson, and Patricia Tallman, in addition to having Aaron Douglas, Lisa Wilcox, and Eddie McClintock. So this is, I mean, you combine the fact that it seems like it's basically a mini Babylon 5 reunion with the subject matter, which is people sharing horrible stories of things that have happened to them or that they've done as an actor. And I think you have a case for what may be a very entertaining panel.
Yeah, I imagine that'll be some comedy gold. I mean, there's got to be a positive spin on it, otherwise you just sit there and cry.
Yeah, exactly.
And then at 3 p.m. is going to be the Mystery Science 3000, The Return, which is going to be it's going to be off the Kickstarter campaign. It's the new Netflix original series. And it's going to have the creator there as well as the cast: Felicia Day, Jonah Ray, Hampton Yount, and Rebecca Hansen. And then they're, of course, having an offsite. I don't know if it's that same day, probably. But that'll be another opportunity to see them if that is something that you're into. At 4:30, from acclaimed graphic novel to daring new film, My Friend Dahmer.
And this,
I don't know anything about this.
I know a little bit about it. It's got Disney star Ross Lynch, who I guess is also in some pop band. People seemed very excited about that. But it's based on a graphic novel about Jeffrey Dahmer's high school years, and it's based on like the true story of his high school years, and it should be interesting.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. And then at 6 p.m., how entertainment and tech leaders are uniting in mobile VR to deliver new content adventures. And I guess this is focusing specifically on Power Rangers VR experience. And I think that this is just sort of the tying together of marketing and movies and mobile gaming and, I don't know, Oculus Rift type stuff, which could be a lot of fun. I guess there's going to be an immersive Power Rangers Sword Rising mobile VR demo. So if you're into Power Rangers or VR, that could be awesome. At 8 o'clock, Channel 0, No End House screening. Be the first to see the premiere of the second season of the critically acclaimed sci-fi series months before it airs. And this doesn't really say anything about cast or anything, but always a possibility.
Yes, it is. And then finally, we've got the thing that I am both hoping and not hoping is the Sci-Fi Cafe this year, assuming, of course, that the Sci-Fi Cafe is even back. We have a blood drive screening at 9:30. And that's the new series that's on Sci-Fi. You'll get an exclusive look at the next episode. And again, it doesn't mention anything about cast, but it's not impossible. But the main thing to remember about the Horton Grand is that it's all ticketed. And the way that you get tickets is you have to go up to the sales pavilion the morning of. If you draw a winning ticket for it, you get a wristband, which gets you and a guest into the panel. At a certain point, they stop giving out wristbands or tickets for it. and they'll post a list and say, like, this panel has nothing left, this panel has 50 spots left, however much. And then from that point on, you actually have to go over to the Horton Grand to get your tickets, to get what's left. So it's kind of up to you how much effort you really want to put into doing any of these. Like, to me personally, I feel like it's an awful lot of hassle to either like go up to the Horton Grand to draw a ticket, or even just to like head over to the Horton to see if there happens to be anything left available. But they have some cool stuff going on, certainly. And yeah.
And
you
I guess
anything
the
to
point
add,
would just be, it would just be like crowd control, or?
I mean, when you get a wristband, like, you have a guaranteed spot.
For two.
So, yeah, for two. So that, I mean, like, if you're willing to put in the time, that's really cool. But again, it's kind of a your mileage may vary situation.
Yep. I think this day the Babylon 5 and the MST3K panels are both going to probably sell out.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I don't know. I feel like even the screenings have a
the screenings too. Yeah.
Yeah, because who doesn't love a screening? And the Horton doesn't hold a whole lot of people.
No, it's like 240 people.
Yeah, it's 240 people. So we're not looking at like a ton of space here. So again, up to you if you decide that's worth it.
But at least it is a clear the room type of situation where, you know, you don't have to plan except for getting the wristband.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that pretty much does it for the big rooms on Saturday. So do we want to talk about our Dark Horse picks for some of the smaller rooms?
Sure.
Ben, did you have anything for Dark Horse?
I can go first if he's still looking. All right. So I actually only picked two this time.
Yeah, go first, please.
And my first one we've already talked about. So I actually only have one. My first one was that Horton Babylon 5, do you have what it takes to be a star panel? That just seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. If I get into Hall H, I don't care about this panel because I'll never make it, but we'll see what happens. And I may end up actually going to the Horton Grand Theater for the first time ever for a panel. We'll see.
And that's cool.
And my other one is, who cleans up this mess in 29 AB at 11 a.m.? And I picked this one just because of the hilariousness of the subject, which is a bunch of local council members from Oceanside and San Diego and Mayor of Lemon Grove and a state assembly member are all going to get together and discuss who would have to pay for and clean up a mess if superheroes actually were throwing each other through buildings. So I think that's actually pretty fun.
It does sound really cool, actually.
It includes the procedures, cost, time, and legislative fallout. This sounds hilarious and or really, really boring. It depends on how they tackle it.
You know what, though?
I really hope it's the former.
I really hope it's the former, too. And it's funny you say that because I feel like I picked something that's like along that same vein of like, this could be like the most boring panel you've ever been to, or it could be awesome. I'm actually really excited about this Westworld Beyond Frontier Law. And basically, they do actually have one of the executive producers from the show, Lisa Joy, who also is apparently a Harvard Law graduate. But then they've got like a Ninth Circuit justice and a professor and some legal minds. And they'll basically be talking about like the legal ramifications of Westworld. And like what it would take to manage the park's liability obligations and the human rights of robots. Like, I feel like that has the potential to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, while I've been watching the show, I've asked myself those questions, like, as a robot becomes sentient or whatever, like, whoa, what's the deal? So that could be really cool.
It could.
And I don't know how Dark Horsey it is, but if we talked about it, I missed it because I disappeared for a little while. It was the Robert Kirkland and Todd McFarlane conversation in 60E on Saturday from 3:30 to 4:30. In the past, some of these conversation panels, for the most part, I have found have been really, really cool. And then some of them very few of them have not been so awesome. Like if the chemistry is not great, but for the most part, I really liked them.
I also wanted to mention over in 25 ABC at 11 a.m. there is a Marvel Studios theatrical prop development panel that has prop master Russell Bobbitt, and he'll actually be bringing like some actual Marvel props to show and just talking in general about creating the props and all of that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is how not to write a panel description.
Oh, no.
So at 1 p.m. over in the Santa Rosa room at the Marriott Marquis, we have a panel called Board Game or Video Game Mentorship Sessions. And the description literally says, description.
Okay.
I got it. I don't remember. I wish I remember who in the world said it on Twitter yesterday, but somebody said, is it board games like B-O-A-R-D or board B-O-R-E-D games? So good job, whoever you were.
That is awesome.
James, did you have anything else you wanted to mention?
Words.
Words. All right.
There. I'm basically the guy who wrote that panel description now.
Yes, you are. Yes.
What was the question again?
Did you have any other Dark Horse panels you wanted to mention?
I did not. But I did want to answer a couple of questions, possibly that we may have in the chat, which is, do we know yet about Stan Lee? We don't. But he is supposed to be at D23 the week before, and so if he shows up there, I would assume that he's going to show up for Comic-Con as well. But if they don't make an announcement first, that will be your early indicator.
And I think if he pulled out, it would be completely understandable, but it would be very sad.
Yes.
Absolutely. And they, like, all these conventions may just kind of be playing it by ear right now. Like, I feel like it could very easily be a, like, he'll decide closer to the day of kind of thing.
And in Ben's panel that he had for his Dark Horse, the Kirkman, was it Kirkman McFarlane?
Yes.
That should be entertaining. I agree.
Yes, it should.
All right, so that is Saturday. As everyone's mentioning in the chat, it's you know, L starts with H for a reason. So basically, that's going to be the fun one of the day, and then it's going to be just it's a good day. It's another good day of scheduling. There's a lot going on. There's something for everybody, and you know, have at it, people. And now we're going to move on to Sunday.
Yes, we are.
The last day of the convention. Everybody's tired. Everybody's worn out, but we still have stuff to do. And we're going to start off again in Hall H. And we're going to start with the annual. What is this going on now? 12 years? 13 years?
I feel like it's
years?
been on for like 1,000 years.
The Supernatural panel at 10:30 a.m. People, you know what to expect for this. I don't really think we need to talk about it. It's Supernatural. At 11:45, getting the Sunday upgrade, because Ballroom 20 and Indigo are closed, is TNT's The Last Ship. They will have a panel and sneak peek, and they're going to have cast members. Looks like, Tom, Eric Dane, Adam Baldwin. Who else is in this list? Bridget Regan and showrunner Stephen Kane will all be there, and that is for an hour at 11:45. And then at 1 p.m., also, I think probably getting an upgrade in room, is Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, the BBC America official panel, and it's going to have Elijah Wood, Samuel Barnett, Hannah Marks, Jade Eschette, Fiona Dourif, Mafo, this is now one that I'm not going to, Kuaho, and all new to season 2, Alan Tudyk and Tyler Labine. They're basically bringing a comedy horror movie to join Dirk Gently for anyone who watched Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That's basically your stars right there. So this looks awesome.
And not only that, but I wanted to mention like Max Landis, who created it, he'll be there, and Kevin Smith will be moderating. So even if you don't watch, even if you don't watch, like this is some really good names on it. It'll be entertaining.
And then the big one to end the Hall H day and weekend is at 2 p.m., the Doctor Who BBC America official panel. And it is basically the swan song for Peter Capaldi at Comic-Con. And joining him will be Pearl Mackie, Matt Lucas, Michelle Gomez, Mark Gatiss, and Stephen Moffat, and moderated by Chris Hardwick.
And really, this is also Moffat's Doctor Who send-off because he will be the showrunner after the Christmas special. So
there you go. This is now that's it for the day. I mean, it's ending at 3, where the con will be closing at 5. So they're ending it a little early, but this looks like it's basically going to be 2 spikes for Supernatural and then Doctor Who. But I think we're basically thinking it may not actually fill the room at any point.
I said this on Twitter the other day, and some people laughed at me, but I'm like, in years past, I don't feel like Doctor Who, it probably got close to filling up the room, or maybe it just barely filled up the room, but it's also not like you had to show up 3 hours early to get in for Doctor Who. Now, this is a little bit of a bigger deal because we do have Peter Capaldi and Stephen Moffat and potentially their last years for Doctor Who. And it also, I don't believe Doctor Who was there last year, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So there is that. But I don't feel like you have to camp out for any of this. I would probably show up an hour early, 2 hours early if you're really worried.
Someone mentions last year on Sunday they showed up at 6:30 and got Group C wristbands, which means there was still probably a good 1,500 to 2,000 or 3,000 people that still had room at 6:30 a.m. So, yeah, I would expect you can show up in the morning after you've had your breakfast and get into the room.
And Epic Skyline says, I have walked into the last 2 Doctor Who panels midway through. So, like I said, I feel like this one has the potential to be slightly more crowded than it has been in the past, just because this is Capaldi's last one. But again, if you're worried, just an hour or 2 beforehand, you definitely don't have to camp out for this unless you want front of the room. So
exactly, and that's just it. Camping out is basically front of room for this day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not needed.
No, so that won't be too bad.
All right, now room CF, since like we mentioned, Ballroom 20 and Indigo are both closed on Sunday.
Yes. Ben, do you want this one or you want me to take it?
You can take it.
Okay. So 6 BCF on Sunday is we are going to start the day off with the world premiere of Lego Scooby-Doo Blowout Beach Bash, which they do these every year, these Warner Brothers home entertainment world premieres. And they're really fun, especially because Sunday is always Kids Day at Comic-Con. So it's a great day to take your kids to the convention and find some really cool stuff for them to do, whether it's stuff like this or kids comics, panels. This one will not only have the world premiere screening of the film, but they'll also have a Q&A with Matthew Lillard, Grey Griffin, and then some producers. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then following that, we have the world premiere of Lego DC Superhero Girls Brain Drain. And that one will have Grey Griffin, Tara Strong, Anais Fairweather, and some producers. And then after that, getting a major room upgrade is Fantastic Fans and Where to Find Them. Rallying along in 2017. So this is basically, they do this every year, but it's not normally in 6PCF, I don't believe. It's just the Harry Potter fan panel, but it's a lot of fun. They've got panelists from all different kinds of Harry Potter websites and basically just talking about a state of the fandom and what's going on with the upcoming movies and the amusement parks and online and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a good time. And then finally, we are going to close out that room at 3:15 with the annual interactive musical screening of Buffy's Once More with Feeling.
Yay!
Yay! So 6 BCF, like we said earlier, it holds a little bit over 2,000 people. I don't feel like any of these are going to be hard to get into.
Probably not.
No, but if you're looking at, like, if you have nothing else on your schedule and you've got kids, like, especially the first two, which include a screening, like, that's a great thing to take them to get them excited. So that's 6 BCF.
Hey Ben, are
Yes.
you still Darth Vadering with your audio?
Am I better?
You're a little better.
A little.
Yay. Are we up to 6A?
We're on 6A.
Yes.
All right. So for 6A, it looks like at 10:15 a.m. we've got Marvel Spider-Man World Premiere. Time to roll out the web carpet. That is adorable. Because you're invited to the world premiere of Marvel's animated new series. I've always been a really big fan of the Marvel animated series. I feel like they work for adults as well as kids, so that could be a lot of fun. And again, if you've got the tired kids on Sunday or whatever, they could love this. At 11:30, we've got Cartoon Voices 2. With the smash hit success of yesterday's Cartoon Voices 1 panel, there's time for more. And so it looks like there is Neil Kaplan, Nikki Breyer, Bob Joels, Deborah Wilson, Chuck McCann, and probably someone else. I like that. So yeah, if you like voice actors and what they do, there'll be a chance to see even more of them. PM, Bizarre States, Jessica Chovat and Andrew Bowser talk on the weird, wacky, and wonderful world of paranormal, true crime, occult, and just plain odd. That could be interesting. 2:15 p.m. This happens every year, right? The Starship Smackdown.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've never gone. I don't really know this. Do you guys?
I've never gone either, but I've seen video of parts of it. But it's basically got a bunch of people that get together and they argue about who can beat each other up, Starship-wise. So basically, just a lot of nerds having fun.
It sounds intriguing. I don't know if I'll ever go to it, but it sounds like a lot of fun. And that is it for 6A.
And then we have 7AB, which again I think we're gonna go through this one fairly quickly because it's about a 500-seat room. We'll hit a few highlights here, though.
Really quick for 6A, I don't feel like any of those are going to be hard to get into. So
I think Starship Smackdown may be the one that fills it up because I think it has a little bit of a reputation that people like to go for, like the end of their con kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
But that may be the only one. And it looks like actually they get 2 hours this year. It's a 2-hour panel. I don't know if they've had 2 hours before. They could have, but
very long time.
Man, nerds gotta argue. Come on. All right. Sunday in 7AB. Starts off with 2 spotlights in a row from the dynamic duo of Paul Dini and then Bruce Timm, basically the guys who brought you Batman the Animated Series and other cartoons and Harley Quinn and all of that kind of stuff. These are going to be most likely informative and entertaining panels because these guys are basically 2 legends. And then we have
the one that Kitty has been asking about this whole
Buffy
time.
the Vampire Slayer, 2 decades with feeling, a 20th anniversary celebration. Sorry, folks, it's about the books being written about the 20th anniversary, but they say they will feature some surprise guests, so there is a chance, but it is not Fox doing a 20th anniversary. There is no planned cast members so far. It is basically just a look back on the 20 years of Buffy.
I feel like if you're wondering who the surprise guests are, you can probably look at whoever shows up at the fan party that they're holding on,
on Thursday night?
Yeah, on Thursday night.
I think it's Thursday night.
It's whatever night the Buffy party's on. It's whoever happens to show up to that. I feel like there's a decent possibility they could show up to this.
Right. So you may get some cast members, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be any of the main cast members. You're probably going to get some behind-the-scenes people, possibly. So expect that. Maybe. Since it just says special guests. And then we have Minecraft Books coming up at 1 p.m. And Max Brooks will actually be on that panel. And then the Hanna-Barbera 60th anniversary panel. And then Lego Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu, which is the TV panel, not to be confused with the movie panel a few days earlier. And then YouTube Softball Crew takes over Keen Spot 2017 to end the day at 4 p.m. And again, I mean, unless a bunch of people confuse the Buffy 20th anniversary with an actual cast-filled panel, I don't think anything's going to be crowded.
I feel like there's a very good chance, though, that people will confuse that for a cast-filled panel. Like, I feel like the fact that the title is like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 2 decades with feeling, a 20th anniversary celebration. That sounds like a lot more than it really is.
I'm going to that because it's a 20th anniversary spectacular, and everyone's going to be like,
we're talking about, yeah, pretty much. So we'll see about the one.
Well, I would love just to hear later. They're like, yeah, guys, Sarah Michelle Gellar was there and didn't come.
The blog said, like, no one big was going to be there.
We didn't say that. We said don't expect them because so far none of them are going to be in town.
Yeah. Fantastic disclaimer.
Someone may have some polls somehow and get them in there. Who knows?
It's entirely possible. All right, so 7AB holds 480 people. So I'm with you. I think if you're going to that Buffy panel, like, show up a little bit earlier, just because people may think it's a lot more than it looks to be at the moment, but otherwise you're fine.
Right. There you go.
And then what else do we have this day? Anything? I'm scrolling down. I think that's it.
Nothing else hit. I mean, with two of the bigger rooms closed, there's obviously just fewer things happening on Sunday. Sunday is the day most people are like, I got to get my shopping in because I haven't done it for 3 days. What can I do? And so the show floor typically gets a bit crowded. It's also, let's remember that Sunday is family day. There is a bunch of kids stuff going on, like drawing classes and free comic books and just a bunch of panels of cartoons and comics and everything for kids. So if you're bringing your kids on Sunday, you have plenty of panels to take them to.
Yes. All right.
And just for a comparison, I looked at the number of people who are clicking on the different panels in 7AB that day. And yes, the Buffy panel has double the number of people selecting it or more. So a lot of people are expecting, I think, something more than what the panel may end up being.
All right. Well, maybe you might need to show up early for that one then. But at the moment, there's nothing super, super exciting there, but it has potential.
All right. So who wants to go first with the dark horse?
Ben, are you ready?
I got nothing.
All right, that's okay. I'll talk then. I've got 2. I definitely wanted to mention in 6DE at 10 a.m. a whole bunch of the different Star Wars organizations have gathered together, and they'll be doing a Princess Leia Star Wars fan club tribute presentation, where basically they'll be looking back on the life of Carrie Fisher, and I think it's awesome that they're doing that, and that's a great way to spend your Sunday if you've got nothing else going on in the morning. And then I also wanted to mention at 1:30 p.m. in room 8, which let's see how many people that holds, 340, we have Stephen King's Mr. Mercedes, which is going to be a new show from Jack Bender based on Stephen King's Mr. Mercedes, and it'll have cast members Harry Treadaway, Kelly Lynch, Holland Taylor, and Brita Wool. And whoever decided that, like, we should bring decent cast members and put them in a room of like 340 people, I'd really like to have a conversation with you.
Wow, that's sad. That's painful.
Like, who decides, like, let's bring Holland Taylor to Comic-Con and put her in a room that holds 340 people? Like, I mean, I realize she's not like Comic-Con crowd necessarily, but still, like, she's a big name. So
I would think you'd get on stage and see your audience and go, really, guys? Really? I'm out of here.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, to me, like, that one might be a little bit difficult to get into just because it is so tiny. But yeah.
So I have a few dark horses, which I'm assuming probably won't end up being a dark horse because of who's in them. But the first one is at 10 a.m. in room 29AB, and it's Steven Universe Art and Origins. And this is about the new Steven Universe Art and Origins book. And the book's author, Chris McDonnell, and Ian Jones-Corte, which I'm not sure what they do. They may be the moderator. But they're being joined by the Steven Universe creator, Rebecca Sugar. And it's basically going to be discussing all things Steven Universe with the creator of the show. And I know that there's a Steven Universe panel on, is it Friday? With all their other cartoon stuff?
Yes. Yes.
So if you don't get a chance to see this one, even though it doesn't have any cast members, basically I know a lot of people who care about Steven Universe because of the concepts and ideas behind it. And I think this is your panel if that's the kind of thing that you're really interested in. So be aware of this one. I think it's a pretty small room, probably only a couple of hundred people fit. So be aware it's the first panel of the day.
That's an
also,
awesome dark horse.
Yeah, this one I picked mainly because of the name and what's in the description and the moderator. And that's basically at noon on 29 AB as well. Toy Pizza Knights of the Slice Roundtable. It's moderated by Jamie King, the actress, and the creators Jesse DeStasio and Nikki Fung will be there. It's a YouTube show called Toy Pizza, an action figure line called Knights of the Slice, and they're basically going to be premiering first look at the toy releases. But apparently you will also be able to get gluten-free pizza recipes upon request.
What?
I thought it was just cool.
That is kind of cool.
And then in 6DE at 3 p.m., so basically near the end of the day, is Notorium title announcement with creator Terry Crews. And yes, that is the same Terry Crews from The Expendables and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He is writing a new sci-fi miniseries, and he will be there to discuss the plans with the creative team of the comic. So that's interesting that he's going to show up for a comic book that he is helping to create.
And I maintain, so Stephanie Beatriz, also from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, is on an Amazon cartoon panel, Danger and Eggs, earlier that same day. So if we've got two Brooklyn Nine-Nine actors there at the same time, why couldn't we have a Brooklyn Nine-Nine panel, Fox? Come on.
Come on, man. It's not genre enough.
Wasted opportunity.
Boo. Boo.
Wait a second. Wasn't an earlier panel in the week going to have some members from Lonely Island?
Yeah.
So.
All right.
So what you're telling me is they should just have their own impromptu Brooklyn Nine-Nine panel.
Everyone remember PaceyCon? I think we should have 99Con out on the lawn.
We should also bring back PaceyCon, and we may get DawsonCon this year because James Beak is showing up for the Viceland party bus of all things.
Okay, but you know what? DawsonCon, let's go. But we really do need PaceyCon too.
Yes. Oh my God.
If you don't know what that is, you need to go find it.
I am like forever heartbroken that I missed PaceyCon.
Seriously. So sad. Sigh. All right. Yeah. So that is it for the schedule. And I know that there are a ton of questions still, probably. So let's see what we can answer. And I'm like, oh, no questions. Never mind.
I'm skimming through the chat. You take Twitter.
I am looking now. I see lots of things about.
Mike Nelson asked, anyone else think the DC panel like Wonder Woman 75th anniversary with Gal Gadot or the Superman with Henry Cavill one is missing? I mean, maybe we just don't have like a giant anniversary this year. Maybe it just didn't happen to work out like that.
We basically had 3 years in a row of the Trinity, right? We had a Batman, a Superman, and a Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And no one created anything good in the 4th year. Everyone took a break. So we'll see how it goes.
So sad.
Yeah. So listen back if you have questions about Hall H. We covered that at the very beginning of the show. So either click that rewind button or listen to the download tomorrow when we upload it to iTunes and other areas.
And not only that, but I really and truly feel like the Hall H wristband rules will be out, if not tomorrow, then Tuesday. So we will know a whole lot more here in the next day or two.
And We don't expect any massive changes, but they could surprise us. Comic-Con tends not to make very many massive changes in 1 year, but they kind of do incremental as they figure out what things work and don't work, and just make little adjustments until they kind of narrow it down to what the official constant policy is. We've been getting a lot of questions about the Comic-Con app. Now that the schedule is out, we can basically assume the app is coming soon. They don't release the app until the schedule is up.
Correct. And usually it takes like a day or two after you submit like an update to an app for it to even go through. So Jonathan, actually in our chat said I expect the app to be updated by the middle of this week, and I agree with that. I would start checking like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So.
Right. Someone asked us about offsites for Saturday. Basically, most of the offsites run all weekend, so it's going to be the same ones. But are there any Saturday-specific offsites that we know about?
I'm pulling up.
New?
Well, my answer would be you can go look at our calendar on sdccblog.com.
We will be covering a lot of this stuff because the schedule took up all of the podcasts the last 2 days. We will be covering a lot of the offsites and exclusives on Wednesday's podcast at 6:30. So we will definitely still have a chance to cover a lot of these things. But yes, as Carrie mentioned, to the website, we have a lot of stuff on the calendar.
And here, I'm just going to do a super quick rundown of what's going on Saturday. We don't know too many details, but the Game of Thrones Winners Here experience will be back over by the Omni. We know next to nothing about the Westworld offsite, but that will be there again all 4 days. Let's see here. That Blade Runner 2049 offsite that has no location, that'll be around all 4 days.
It's across the street from the convention center. Come on, we know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
They've announced that for a few different things, that it's across the street. So, like, thanks.
I know. I'm like, that's literally the entire gas lamp. You can find Snoopy and Belle in fashion all 4 days as well over at Bubbles Boutique in the gas lamp, and they'll be having some Tokidoki stuff there as well. That sounds super cool. There's that Netflix experience offsite that'll be open all 4 days. Is it Leica? Is that how we say it?
The what?
The Coraline stuff.
Know.
How do we say that?
Leica.
The Leica experience, which will have some awesome stuff, including props. Carnival. Saturday will actually be the last day for Carnival, but again, this year they're not doing like the normal panels / interviews over there. It's basically just going to be laser tag, tabletop gaming. They're kind of going back to basics, and it's in a new location over at the Marriott Marquis and Marina. What else do we have on Saturday? Heroes Brewfest is going on from 2 to 8 p.m. I think there's still tickets available for that. The Buffy the Vampire Slayer fandom party actually is Saturday night from 6 to 9 p.m. They did give out tickets, and they will be giving, if you got a ticket, they'll be giving you first availability to get in, but if you didn't, you can still line up for standby. And there's also, if you hopefully already got tickets to the Symphonies, Rebels, Raiders, and Superman, the Music of John Williams concert, if it's not sold out, it's got like 2 tickets left. Because I looked yesterday and it's pretty much gone. Mystery Science Theater 3000 will be happening on Saturday night as well. The Screen Junkie Central thing is happening. I know the free tickets sold out. I'm not sure about the paid ones. And the 2 biggest question marks we have at the moment are Conan's Saturday tickets, which... Oh my God, we get like 1,000 questions a day about this. I have no idea what in the world is taking them so long, but I will be reaching out to them again tomorrow to see if we can get anywhere on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and just stating like the super duper obvious, I just wonder, how did it make sense to do like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then just stop for like a week? But
just close down the office for a week, basically.
Yeah.
Close down the office, go on vacation for the 4th of July. We didn't get the job done. We'll pick it up when we get back. I mean, that's basically what it sounds like.
Yeah, it really, really and truly is. So no, I have no idea what's going on with those tickets. We also don't know guests yet for this year. And they have not released the sci-fi live from Comic-Con tickets. And the people I've spoken to at Sci-Fi don't seem nearly as on the ball this year, to put it mildly. So we'll find out. We'll find out here in the next 10 days how much news could possibly drop.
A lot.
Wow.
So a couple other questions I wanted to answer. Iron Souls on the chat asked if Marvel ends at 7, and they're going to have tickets to the John Williams concert at the Symphony. How far away is it? I think it's about 7 or 8 long blocks. It's about a mile, maybe a little less than a mile. So that's one where it's, yeah, cab or Uber it over, because I don't think you're going to want to walk all that after being in Hollywood.
Just hop in a cab. It'll be under $10. Like, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah. So, and then another question is, do we know what's taking the place of Carnival in the Petco Park space? No, we don't. It may be nothing.
Yeah. Someone on Friends of Comic-Con mentioned that I guess the Padres are back to playing in Petco on Monday, right after Comic-Con. So it's vaguely possible that this year Petco was like, we don't want anything inside Petco. But the fact that Carnival is only Thursday through Saturday, so they wouldn't have even been there Sunday. I don't know. I don't know that theory holds water for me, but I really have no idea. So we'll find out.
Yeah. Someone mentioned that the Symphony is on the shuttle route, but you know what that situation is like at 7 o'clock when the con ends. There's about 3,000-4,000 people out in front waiting to get on the shuttles. So
yeah, and if you're in a time crunch,
might not make it.
Yeah, if you're in a time crunch, like seriously, just hop in a cab. Like I know we all think like traffic is awful, and it is if you're driving. But like if you personally are driving, but honestly, I took cabs, a lot of $5 cab rides last year, and I thought it was quick, and my feet didn't hurt at the end of the convention. So
and I wasn't like soaked in sweat because of the humidity last year.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. That was what convinced me to take Uber and cabs a lot last year.
I know. I was like, I could walk this, or I could not.
But why?
But why? So, and again, you can Uber also works great, and as Jonathan pointed out in our chat, you can use our code SDCCUblog for $20 off your first ride. So
there you go.
Go, Jonathan.
Okay, so that about wraps it up, I think.
Yeah, for the panel schedule, like we said, there is 1.5 million pieces of news, both that we have announced and that are still to be announced. You can find all of that information on our site, pretty much.
Yeah. And we'll go, like I said, we'll go over a lot of that stuff on Wednesday's podcast. And speaking of Wednesday's podcast, I think it's time.
So I am super excited about our guests on our final podcast on our regular season. We will do a wrap-up show after the convention, but join us again on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. for Orlando Jones and also the lovely folks of Factory Entertainment.
Yes, that's right. We are doubling our guest quota for one podcast at the end, Orlando Jones and Factory Entertainment.
Because if you're going to double it up, like those are the guests to do it with, right?
Exactly. So it's going to be a long podcast, but you want to join us because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And then after we talk to them, all the news.
So basically it's going to be like a 3-hour long podcast is what I'm hearing.
Probably. Yes. It's going to be crazy.
Yes, it is.
Okay, as Carrie mentioned, we're gonna let that sit for about that long. Okay, so as Carrie mentioned, Uber, SDCC Ublog for $20 off your first ride. Eats, Ublog 17 for $10 off your first order at Uber Eats. Do that if you need it.
Yes.
Ben,
yes.
Ben, you're up, Ben.
I think that sounds like every Comic-Con ever. I've had that one night where I just go back to my hotel and collapse like into con coma, and I'm just like, food.
Right? Yeah, exactly. We did that a couple times. All right, so we have one more week of attendee of the week left?
Yes, because oh my god, like Comic-Con is officially next week. Like I literally realized that like a couple of hours ago, and I was like, oh my god, it's next week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die. But we do this thing now where you can be our attendee of the week. You can find all the information on our site and in the show notes on how to basically apply. But basically, you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your convention experience over the years. And if we pick you, you get featured on our site, which is pretty cool. Go ahead.
I'm going to make a suggestion. Maybe we keep that going a little bit after the con, too.
I bet we can, too.
So, carry that feeling forward.
Yeah. So the only prize giveaway we're doing now is actually only for a few more hours. We are giving away a pair of tickets to the Symphony's Music of John Williams concert. Today is the very last day that you can enter to win, and we'll be alerting that winner tomorrow. And then I also want to mention, of course, on preview night, which is July 19th, we'll be doing our annual reader party, though this year it's very different. It'll be actually more of a meetup called Too Blog, Too Furious over at McFadden's in the Gaslamp starting at 7 p.m. It's free to attend. You don't need a badge. And it's just going to be a really fun, informal hangout where we actually get to talk to you guys, which we don't normally have time to do at Enchantment. So I'm really excited about that. The drinks will not be on us, but McFadden serves drinks and food, so you can come, hang out, have dinner, chill. It'll be a lot of fun. Yes. And then just to remind everybody, we have pushed all of our prizes off to Adventures of Prize Wheel, and we will have so many prizes all week long from all of our different prize mules. We have prizes from Hasbro, Toddland, Factory Entertainment, NinjaBot, Viz Media, UCC Distributing, BBC America, Diamond Select Toys, Cryptozoic, Skybound, Kid Robot, Symbiote Studios, Mondo, Bait. I'm forgetting others, but there may even still be another one or two to be announced. So we're going to be everywhere all convention long. Basically, just follow us along on Twitter. And when you see on Twitter one of the prize mules tweet out that they're in a certain location with a prize, just hurry over, meet up with them, and you win.
There you go. That's awesome. Okay, yeah. So we have one more SDConCast before the convention, 6:30 Wednesday. You now know why you should tune in. Special guests, latest news. Join us.
Yes.
Do we have any newsletters still coming?
Yes. Yes, we do. There will be another newsletter tomorrow. You can sign up for our newsletter. The link is in the show notes. And then, Ben?
Are you doing under the tents, Ben? Are you going to fill in on those? Or has Ben?
A good long while there. I moved to another state, I had 2 jobs, and now I am all ready to super duper contribute for this last 10 days. Hold me to it.
Woo! Right.
You're up next. But the Under the Tents is flying furiously. I mean, I think we'll basically be once or twice a day, every day, leading up to the convention like it has been for about the past almost 2 weeks now. So
yikes.
If you want your news, we've got your news. In closing, let's wrap this up. Ben, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
On Twitter at HelloBK. And Carrie, where can we find more of yours?
You can find me on Twitter at Carrie Dixon, or you can usually find me over on the blog Twitter. James, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me everywhere at Dan Regal, or you can check out photography from my wife and I on geekshotphoto.com.
We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up on the blog, or you can search for SDConCast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We are also on Stitcher Radio. The link is in the show notes.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog, or tweet us at sd_comic_con. Thank you all for listening. Everybody, go Gary!